The alarm should have gone off an hour ago, but Daniel Cross had learned to sleep through most sounds during his 15 years hauling cargo across the galaxy. What finally woke him was his daughter's small hand shaking his shoulder. "Daddy, there's something beeping," Lily said, her voice carrying that mix of curiosity and concern that only an 8-year-old could manage at whatever hour this was. Daniel sat up in the cramped sleeping quarters of the Wanderer, his cargo ship that had been home for the past 3 years since his wife passed. The ship's systems hummed around them, a sound so familiar it usually faded into background noise. But Lily was right. There was a beeping, faint but persistent. "Probably just another sensor glitch," he muttered, pulling on his jacket. "Go back to bed, sweetheart. But what if someone needs help?" Lily followed him to the cockpit anyway, her bare feet padding against the metal floor. She'd inherited her mother's stubborn streak along with her dark curly hair. Daniel dropped into the pilot's seat and pulled up the navigation display. They were 3 hours out from Delta 7, the trading station where he was supposed to deliver medical supplies. The route was quiet, mostly empty space with the occasional chunk of old satellite debris. Nothing that should trigger the distress beacon detector, except there it was, a weak signal, barely registering on the scanner. Standard emergency frequency, but old. Really old, like decades-old technology, kind of old. "See? Someone does need help," Lily said, leaning over his shoulder to peer at the screen. "Or it's a trap. Pirates sometimes use fake distress signals to lure in ships." Daniel had heard too many stories in too many station bars. Space could be beautiful, but it could also be deadly, especially for a single dad with a little girl to protect. "The signal's not moving," Lily pointed out. "Pirates would chase us, right?" "Smart kid. Too smart sometimes." Daniel chewed his lip, weighing options. The signal was coming from a debris field about 20 minutes off their current course. Going to investigate would make them late for the delivery, which meant losing his bonus payment. Not going meant someone might actually be dying out there. "Please, Daddy?" Lily's voice went soft. "What if it was us out there and nobody came?" That settled it. Daniel altered course. The debris field turned out to be larger than the scanner suggested. Twisted metal floated in lazy spirals, pieces of what looked like old colony ships and mining equipment. Some of it had to be 200 years old, maybe older. This was one of those forgotten corners of space where the early explorers had tried to stake claims before realizing there was nothing worth claiming. "There," Lily said, pointing at the view screen. "That piece is different." She was right again. Among the rust-brown wreckage sat something that didn't match. It was darker, smoother, and as Daniel brought the Wanderer closer, he could see strange markings etched into its surface. Not human writing. Not any writing he recognized. The distress beacon was definitely coming from inside. "Stay here," Daniel said firmly. "I mean it, Lily. Lock the cockpit door behind me, but no buts. If anything goes wrong, you hit the emergency beacon and fly straight to Delta 7. Tell them your dad was an idiot who didn't listen to his own advice about investigating distress signals." Lily's eyes went wide, but she nodded. Daniel suited up and cycled through the airlock. Moving through zero gravity never got old, even after all these years. He used the maneuvering jets on his suit to cross the gap between his ship and the strange object. Up close, he could see it wasn't a ship. More like a pod. A stasis pod, maybe. The metal was warm under his gloved hand. That was weird. Everything out here should be freezing cold. He found the seal and after some fumbling with tools managed to pry it open. The inside was dark except for a faint blue glow coming from what looked like monitoring equipment. And something else. Something that moved. Daniel's headlamp caught scales first, silver blue and shimmering. Then he saw the wings folded tight against a small body. Then the eyes opened, golden and bright and full of fear. "Holy hell," Daniel whispered, "it was a dragon. An actual, honest-to-God dragon, just like in the old Earth stories Lily loved so much. Except this wasn't a story. This was real, and it was hurt. One wing hung at a wrong angle, and there were scorch marks across its hide. The creature made a sound, something between a whimper and a growl. It tried to back away, but was tangled in broken cables and equipment. Daniel should have left. Dragons were illegal to transport. Dragons were dangerous. Dragons were supposed to be extinct, wiped out 2 centuries ago because they were too aggressive, too unpredictable, too deadly. But looking at this small, terrified creature, all Daniel could think was that it looked about as dangerous as a wounded puppy. He moved slowly, keeping his hands visible. Easy there. I'm not going to hurt you. The dragon watched him with those impossibly intelligent eyes. When Daniel reached out to untangle the cables, it flinched but didn't attack. Its body was trembling. Getting the creature back to the Wanderer took 20 minutes of careful maneuvering. It couldn't have weighed more than 30 kilograms, small enough that Daniel could carry it in his arms once they were back in gravity. The dragon went limp, either from exhaustion or resignation. Lily was waiting at the airlock when Daniel cycled through. Her eyes went huge. Is that a dragon? Yeah. Daniel laid the creature down gently on the cargo bay floor. Yeah, it is. Lily knelt beside it immediately, reaching out one small hand. The dragon raised its head slightly, nostrils flaring as it sniffed her fingers. Then, incredibly, it made a sound almost like a cat's purr. She's beautiful, Lily breathed. Can we help her, Daddy, please? Daniel looked at his daughter's hopeful face, then at the dragon who was now watching them both with what seemed like desperate hope, then at the control panel that would connect them to authorities who would definitely not approve of this situation. Can I adopt this dragon, Daddy? Lily asked, her voice small and serious. I'll take care of her. I promise. I'll feed her and clean up after her and teach her tricks and… Lily, dragons aren't pets. They're classified as Class 5 predators. Having one on this ship could get us both arrested, but she's hurt. And scared. And probably lonely. Lily stroked the dragon's head and the creature leaned into her touch. We can't just leave her. Daniel knew he was going to regret this. Every practical bone in his body was screaming at him to call this in. Let the authorities handle it. Get back to his normal boring cargo runs. But he'd never been good at practical, especially when his daughter looked at him like that. All right, he said, but this stays between us until we figure out what to do. No posting pictures, no telling friends. Got it? Lily nodded so hard her curls bounced. Got it. Thank you, Daddy, thank you, thank you, thank you. The dragon, as if understanding the conversation, made that purring sound again. Its golden eyes closed slowly, peacefully as Lily continued to pet it. Daniel sat back against the cargo containers and wondered what the hell he'd just gotten them into. Whatever it was, there was no going back now. We need to name her, Lily announced. How about Sky? Because we found her in space and she has wings and… Sky works. Daniel agreed, already pulling up his personal computer to search for information on dragon biology. If they were going to do this crazy thing, they needed to do it right. Outside the viewport, stars wheeled past in their ancient dance, indifferent to the small cargo ship where a girl, her father, and an impossible creature had just formed the strangest family in the galaxy. 3 days into this madness, and Daniel still couldn't quite believe there was a dragon sleeping in his cargo hold. Sky had taken to Lily like they'd known each other for years. Right now, the dragon was curled up on a nest of blankets while Lily read to her from one of those ancient Earth fairy tale books. The dragon's head rested on the girl's lap, and every so often Sky would make a soft chirping sound, as if commenting on the story. And then the princess realized the dragon wasn't evil at all. Lily read, her finger tracing the words. He was just lonely and misunderstood. Sky chirped again, louder this time. Daniel watched from the doorway, medical supplies spread out on a nearby crate. He'd done what he could for the dragon's injuries. The wing wasn't broken, just badly bruised. The scorch marks were healing faster than seemed possible. Either dragons had incredible regeneration, or Sky was tougher than she looked. Dad, I think she understands the story, Lily said, not looking up from the book. Dragons don't understand human language. Sweetheart. Then why does she make happy sounds during the good parts and sad sounds during the sad parts? Lily turned a page. Watch. This is where the knight tries to hurt the dragon. She read the passage, and sure enough, Sky's ears flattened against her head. A low rumble came from her chest. That doesn't mean… Daniel started but stopped. What did he know about dragons? Everything he'd learned came from official records, and those records said dragons were mindless killing machines. Yet here was Sky, cuddling with his daughter like an oversized cat. Something didn't add up. Daniel pulled out his tablet and started digging deeper into the historical archives. Most of the dragon extinction files were public record. The official story was simple enough. 200 years ago, humanity's expansion into the Outer Rim territories brought them into contact with dragons. The creatures attacked settlements, killed colonists, destroyed infrastructure. After years of trying to coexist, the Galactic Council declared them too dangerous and authorized their removal from all inhabited worlds. But as Daniel dug past the official reports, he found other things. Inconsistencies. A survey team's log that mentioned dragons being gentle with young and possibly sapient before that team went silent. A scientist's notes about dragon social structures and communication patterns, buried in an obscure database. A corporate memo from Helix Mining Corporation celebrating the clearing of obstacle species from resource-rich territories. The more he read, the more his stomach churned. "Lily, I need to make a call," he said. "Keep Sky quiet, okay?" "She's always quiet." "Well, except when she's hungry. Then she sounds like this." Lily made a warbling noise that Sky immediately echoed. Daniel shook his head and climbed up to the cockpit. He sealed the door and activated the secure communication line. It took 3 tries before Rachel Kim's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. "Daniel? Do you know what time it is? I need your help. Can't tell you everything over this line, but I'm bringing you something for examination. Something biological. Something that officially doesn't exist anymore." Rachel's eyes sharpened. She'd been a xenobiologist for 30 years, and Daniel had known her since his academy days. If anyone could be trusted with this, it was her. "How big is this something?" "About the size of a large dog. Silver blue scales, wings, really intelligent eyes." There was a long silence. Then Rachel leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Daniel, please tell me you did not find what I think you found." "Okay, I won't tell you." "Sweet, merciful stars." "Where?" "Outer rim debris field. Old stasis pod." "She was hurt and alone and—" "She? You've assigned it a gender?" "Daniel, you've had it for how long?" 3 days. And yeah, Lily named her Sky. "Your daughter knows about this?" Rachel's voice went up an octave. "Daniel, if the authorities find out you have a dragon on that ship, they'll arrest you. Lily could be taken into protective services. That creature will be destroyed or locked up in some research facility for the rest of its life. Which is why I'm calling you. I need you to examine her off the books. Something's not right about the historical records. I think we were lied to about dragons." Rachel was quiet for a moment. Daniel could see her mind working, weighing the risks. Finally, she sighed. "Bring her to Haven 9. Use Docking Bay 12, the private one. I'll meet you there in 48 hours. And Daniel? If this goes wrong, I never had this conversation." "Understood. Thank you, Rachel. Thank me after we both aren't in prison." The transmission ended. Daniel sat in the darkness of the cockpit, listening to the hum of the engines. 48 hours to Haven 9. 48 hours to decide if he was really going to do this. He could still turn Sky over to the authorities, claim he was bringing her in, get some kind of reward maybe. A soft sound made him turn. Lily stood in the doorway, Sky peeking around her legs. The door was open a crack. "We heard," Lily said quietly. "You're not going to give her away, are you?" Sky made a small worried sound. Those golden eyes fixed on Daniel with an expression he couldn't quite name. Not animal instinct, something deeper. Something that looked almost like understanding and hope mixed with fear. Daniel knelt down so he was eye level with both of them. "No, sweetheart. We're not giving her away, but we need to be smart about this. Dr. Kim is going to help us, but after that, things might get complicated." "How complicated?" "Very. The laws about dragons are strict. If anyone finds out we have Sky, there will be questions, investigations, maybe worse." Lily reached down and took Sky's front leg in her hand. The dragon moved closer, pressing against the girl's side. "Mom used to say that doing the right thing isn't always the easy thing," Lily said. "Remember?" Daniel felt his throat tighten. His wife had said that often, usually right before she did something brave and reckless. Like marrying a cargo pilot with no prospects. Like having a baby when the doctor said it was risky. Like fighting her illness with every bit of strength she had until the very end. "Yeah, baby. I remember. Sky needs us. She doesn't have anyone else. And maybe there are more dragons out there who need help too. Isn't that worth the risk?" When had his daughter gotten so wise? Sky chirped again, a hopeful sound. She took a tentative step toward Daniel, sniffing at his hand. He let her, keeping very still. After a moment, the dragon bumped her head against his palm, the same way a cat might ask for pets. Daniel stroked the smooth scales. They were warm, almost hot. Sky leaned into the touch, making that purring sound. "All right," he said. "We do this together. But you have to promise me something, Lily. Whatever happens, whatever anyone says or does, you remember that we tried to do the right thing. Can you promise me that?" "I promise, Daddy. Good, now let's get Sky some food. I've been researching dragon diets and apparently they like fish. We've got some protein packs that might work. They went down to the cargo hold together. Sky followed close behind Lily, her tail swishing back and forth. When Daniel opened one of the emergency food containers, the dragon's nose twitched with interest. "Try this," he said, holding out a piece of synthesized salmon. Sky sniffed it carefully, then took it with surprising gentleness. She chewed slowly, making pleased sounds. Lily laughed and clapped her hands. "She likes it. Give her more, Daddy." They spent the next hour feeding Sky, watching her explore the cargo hold, teaching her simple commands. The dragon learned fast, too fast. Within 20 minutes, she understood sit and stay and come. She even figured out how to play fetch with a rubber ball, though she seemed more interested in gently placing the ball back in Lily's hand than in chasing it. Later, after Lily had fallen asleep with Sky curled protectively around her, Daniel sat in the cockpit and stared at the stars. The navigation computer showed them on course for Haven 9. 2 days until they arrived. 2 days until everything either got better or fell apart completely. His tablet chimed with an incoming message. Daniel almost ignored it, but the sender ID made him pause. It was from an unknown source, encrypted heavily. The message was short. "We know what you found. We're watching. Choose wisely." Daniel's blood went cold. He deleted the message immediately and ran a diagnostic on the ship's systems. No tracking devices. No signs of tampering. But someone knew. Someone was out there, aware that the Wanderer carried impossible cargo. He should wake Lily. He should alter course. He should do something other than sit here feeling the weight of every decision pressing down on him. Instead, Daniel looked back at the cargo hold monitor. On the screen, his daughter slept peacefully, wrapped in the protective embrace of a creature that wasn't supposed to exist. A creature that every law said was dangerous. A creature that looked at his child with something that seemed a lot like love. No, they'd come too far to turn back now. Whatever was waiting at Haven 9, whatever came after, they would face it together, the three of them. Daniel set the autopilot and went to join his strange little family. Tomorrow would bring its own troubles. Tonight they could rest. Haven 9 looked the same as it had 3 months ago when Daniel last visited. The station sprawled across space like a metal flower, its docking pedals extending to welcome incoming ships. Home to about 15,000 people, it served as a hub for researchers, families, and traders who preferred the relative quiet of the outer stations to the chaos of the inner colonies. Rachel was waiting at docking bay 12 when the Wanderer settled into its berth. She'd cleared the area, Daniel noticed. No other ships nearby, no station workers milling about, just Rachel, standing with her arms crossed and an expression that mixed curiosity with deep concern. "You actually brought it," she said, as Daniel opened the cargo doors. Her. And yeah, didn't have much choice, Daniel gestured inside. "Lily's with her now. Fair warning, they're kind of attached." Rachel stepped into the cargo hold and stopped dead, whatever she'd been expecting. It clearly wasn't the sight of an 8-year-old girl playing what looked like a modified version of hide-and-seek with a silver-blue dragon. Sky was crouched behind a stack of containers, her tail tip flicking back and forth while Lily pretended not to see her. "I'm going to find you," Lily sang. "I wonder where that dragon could be." Sky pounced, all playful energy, tackling Lily gently and making victory chirps. The girl dissolved into giggles. "That's impossible," Rachel whispered. "Dragons don't play. They don't bond. They certainly don't understand human games." Yeah, well, Sky didn't read the manual. Daniel watched his daughter and the dragon wrestle. "Everything we were told about them is wrong, Rachel." "I know it." Rachel pulled out a portable scanner and approached slowly. "Lily, honey, can you keep Sky calm while I examine her?" "She doesn't mind being touched," Lily said, stroking Sky's head. "She likes having her chin scratched best. Right there, under the scales." The dragon rumbled approval, leaning into Lily's hand. Rachel ran the scanner over Sky's body, her eyes growing wider with each reading. Neural density is off the charts. Brain structure similar to dolphins, but more complex. Emotional response centers are highly developed. This creature isn't just intelligent. She's potentially sapient. "Meaning what exactly?" Daniel asked. "Meaning she might be as smart as we are, maybe smarter in ways we don't understand." Rachel looked at Sky with new respect. The question is why nobody realized this before. Or they did realize and didn't care. Daniel pulled up the files he'd found on his tablet. "Look at these corporate memos. Helix Mining wanted the dragon homeworlds for their resources. Easier to exterminate a species if you convince everyone they're monsters. Rachel scrolled through the documents, her face growing pale. This is genocide. They committed genocide and covered it up with propaganda. Can you prove it? With more research, maybe. But Daniel, if this gets out, if people realize what was done... Rachel sat down heavily on a cargo container. The political fallout would be massive. Helix Mining still exists. They're one of the largest corporations in the galaxy. Sky chirped, drawing their attention. She'd found Lily's drawing pad and was pushing it toward the girl with her nose. Oh, you want me to draw you? Lily laughed. Okay, hold still. What happened next made Daniel's heart skip a beat. Sky didn't just hold still. She posed, sitting up straight with her wings partially extended and her head tilted at an angle. Like she understood what having her portrait drawn meant. Okay, that's unsettling, Rachel muttered. Lily sketched quickly, her tongue poking out in concentration. Sky watched the process with obvious interest, occasionally chirping as if offering commentary. When Lily finished and showed the drawing, the dragon made an approving sound and gently touched the paper with one claw. She likes it, Lily beamed. Can I draw more? I want to show my friends. No! Daniel and Rachel said simultaneously. Lily's face fell. But why? Everyone should see how amazing Sky is. Because dragons are illegal, sweetheart. We talked about this. Daniel knelt beside his daughter. We have to keep Sky secret until we figure out how to help her. It's not fair. She's not dangerous. She's sweet and smart and... Lily's eyes filled with tears. Everyone should know the truth. Sky made a worried sound and nuzzled against Lily's cheek. The dragon's distress at seeing the girl upset was obvious. Rachel watched the interaction with scientific fascination. The emotional bonding is remarkable. I've never seen anything like it. Sky responds to Lily's emotional state as if they're connected. They are connected, Lily said, wiping her eyes. We're friends. Best friends. I need to run more tests, Rachel said. Neural mapping, communication analysis, behavioral studies. If we can prove Sky is sapient, that she's not a threat, maybe we can get the laws changed. How long will that take? Daniel asked. Months. Maybe years. And we'd need to keep Sky hidden the entire time, which on a research station with thousands of people is going to be nearly impossible. Daniel rubbed his face. So we're stuck. I want to record her, Lily said suddenly. Just for us. So we can remember, please? Lily, just a short video. I won't show anyone. I promise. Lily looked at him with those big eyes that always demolished his resolve. In case something happens and we get separated, I want to remember her. Rachel nodded slowly. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Documentation could help with my research. As long as it stays private. Against his better judgment, Daniel agreed. Lily pulled out her tablet, the one she used for school lessons and games. Sky seemed to understand they were recording, preening slightly and showing off for the camera. Hi, this is Sky, Lily narrated. She's a dragon and she's my best friend. Watch what she can do. Lily threw the rubber ball. Sky leaped after it, caught it midair with impressive agility and brought it back. She placed it carefully in Lily's hand. Good girl. Now sit, stay. Okay, come. Sky followed each command perfectly. Then Lily had her demonstrate the playing dead trick they'd worked on, and the dragon flopped dramatically onto her back with all four legs in the air. Lily tickled her belly and Sky made sounds suspiciously like laughter. See? Lily said to the camera. She's not scary. She's perfect. The recording ended. Lily saved it to her tablet's personal folder. That stays locked, Daniel warned. Not on any network, not shared with anyone. I know. Daddy, I promised. But promises from 8-year-olds, Daniel would learn, were sometimes harder to keep than anyone expected. It happened 3 hours later. Lily had gone to the station's rec area with some other kids while Daniel and Rachel continued examining Sky. The dragon was remarkably patient with all the tests, seeming to understand they were trying to help. Lily's friend Sophie had wanted to see her new drawings, so Lily pulled out her tablet to show her sketchbook, except she accidentally opened the wrong folder. The one with the video, Sophie saw it. So did Tommy and Nash and little Patricia. They all saw the dragon playing fetch, following commands, making friends with a human girl. That's so cool, Sophie breathed. Is it real? You can't tell anyone, Lily said quickly. It's a secret. But Sophie's tablet was synced to the station network. And Sophie, being 9 and excited, had already hit the share button before Lily could stop her. The video uploaded to the local network, and from there it spread, first to Haven 9's community boards, then to the regional networks. Then, because space stations were full of people with nothing better to do than browse the galactic net, it went viral. By the time Daniel found out 3 hours after the initial upload, the video had been viewed 800 million times, and climbing. His communicator exploded with notifications, messages from friends, from strangers, from news agencies. Rachel burst into the cargo hold, her own device chiming constantly. "Daniel, we have a problem. A really big problem." He pulled up the galactic news feed. The video was everywhere. Human child befriends extinct dragon. Impossible creature plays fetch. Is this real or elaborate hoax? The comment sections were chaos. Some people were enchanted. Others demanded Sky be destroyed immediately. Still others questioned whether dragons had been wrongly exterminated. "Where's Lily?" Daniel demanded. "Station security is bringing her back. She's not in trouble, they just want to keep her safe from reporters." "Reporters?" As if on cue, someone started pounding on the bay door. "Mr. Cross, this is Galactic News Network. We'd like to ask you some questions about the dragon." More voices joined in, more pounding. Within minutes, a crowd had gathered outside the docking bay. Daniel could hear shouting, arguing, the whir of camera drones trying to peek through the seals. Sky hissed, backing into a corner. Her eyes darted around frantically, wings half spread in a defensive posture. "It's okay, girl," Daniel said softly. "Nobody's going to hurt you." But even as he said it, his communicator lit up with an official message. Galactic Council. Priority 1. Attention, Daniel Cross of the transport vessel Wanderer. You are hereby ordered to surrender the creature known as Sky for immediate containment and assessment. Failure to comply will result in criminal charges, including harboring dangerous wildlife and violation of extinction protocols. You have 24 hours to comply. Rachel read over his shoulder. "This is bad. Really bad." The bay doors opened and Lily rushed in, followed by 2 station security officers. She ran straight to Sky, throwing her arms around the dragon's neck. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's okay, baby." Daniel pulled them both into a hug. "We'll figure this out." But as he looked at the security officers, at Rachel's worried face, at the crowd of reporters and curious onlookers pressed against the windows, at Sky trembling despite Lily's comforting presence, Daniel wondered if they really could figure this out. The whole galaxy was watching now, and they had less than a day to decide what to do next. The video had reached 12 billion views by morning. Daniel hadn't slept. He'd spent the night reading comments, watching the debate rage across every platform in the galaxy. People were divided into camps, fighting with the passion of those who'd never actually seen a dragon, but had very strong opinions about them. One camp insisted Sky was dangerous and needed to be destroyed before she hurt someone. They posted old propaganda videos, fear-mongering articles from 2 centuries ago, dramatic reenactments of supposed dragon attacks, never mind that none of them had actual evidence. The other camp saw what Daniel saw, a gentle creature playing with a child, intelligence and emotion in those golden eyes, something worth protecting. But there was a third camp emerging, smaller but growing, historians and scientists who started digging into the original dragon extinction records and found the same inconsistencies Daniel had discovered. They posted their findings online, and suddenly the conversation shifted. "Look at this." Rachel pointed to her screen. She'd been working nonstop through the night, her hair a mess and exhaustion written across her face. Professor Henry Wu from the Galactic Historical Institute just released a statement. He's been studying dragon extinction for 30 years. He says the official narrative never made sense. Daniel read the statement. Professor Wu questioned why dragons had supposedly attacked settlements, but never damaged mining equipment. Why they'd targeted residential areas but left corporate facilities untouched. Why every attack happened to occur in areas where Helix Mining wanted to expand operations. He's calling it what it is, Daniel said. A cover-up. More than that. He's demanding a formal investigation. Rachel scrolled through more responses. And he's not alone. Scientists across the galaxy are backing him up. The Draenish Historical Society just announced they have records from dragon civilization. Actual records, Daniel. Written language, art, culture. Dragons had civilization. Apparently. The Draenish are a reptilian species. They studied dragons before the extinction, kept samples of dragon artifacts in their museums. They're saying dragons weren't just intelligent, they were advanced. They had cities, governments, trade networks. Sky chirped from her corner. Lily was curled up next to her, finally sleeping after crying herself exhausted. The dragon had stayed awake all night, watching over the girl like a guardian. We need to get them out of here, Daniel said. The council gave us 24 hours. That deadline is in 6 hours. Where would you go? Every station, every port, every planet has received that order. The moment you try to dock somewhere, they'll arrest you and take Sky. Then we don't dock. We run, Rachel grabbed his arm. Daniel, you can't run forever. You have a daughter. She needs stability, education, a normal life. And Sky needs proper care, research, protection. Sky needs to not be locked in a cage or dissected in a lab. I know, which is why we fight this legally. Rachel pulled up a document. Professor Wu wants to meet with us. So do the Drainish scholars. They're requesting an emergency hearing with the Galactic Council. If we can prove dragons were sapient, if we can show the extinction was unjustified, maybe we can get the laws changed. And if we can't? Rachel didn't answer. She didn't need to. A soft knock interrupted them. Daniel's hand went to the small plasma pistol on his belt. Who is it? Station Director Walsh, I'm alone. I'd like to talk. Daniel opened the door a crack. Director Walsh was a middle-aged woman with steel-gray hair, and an expression that said she'd seen everything space had to throw at her and wasn't impressed. She held her hands up, showing she was unarmed. May I come in? That depends. Are you here to arrest me? If I wanted to arrest you, I'd have brought security. I'm here because I've been getting calls from every government official and corporate executive in the sector, all demanding I hand over that dragon immediately. Walsh looked past Daniel to where Sky watched warily. I've also been getting calls from my own daughter. She's 7. She watched that video about 100 times and keeps asking why anyone would want to hurt Sky. Daniel stepped aside. Walsh entered and studied the dragon carefully. Sky growled low in her throat but didn't move, unwilling to wake Lily. She's protecting your daughter, Walsh observed. She does that, all the time. I have 3 children. I know what maternal instinct looks like. Walsh pulled out her tablet. I've been reviewing historical records. Mr. Cross, did you know Haven 9 was built on the edge of what used to be dragon territory? No, neither did I until I started digging. This station is over 200 years old. It was originally a mining outpost. Helix Mining established it. Walsh showed him old documents. The records show repeated conflicts with local dragon populations. But here's what's interesting. The conflicts always started after Helix expanded operations. Never before. Rachel leaned over to look. They provoked the dragons. More than that. I found incident reports filed by the original survey team. They reported that dragons were peaceful, that they helped rescue human miners after a cave collapse, that they showed signs of intelligence and tried to communicate. Walsh swiped to another document. Those reports were marked classified. The next month, Helix launched the extermination campaign. They murdered them, Daniel said flatly. Looks that way. And they made sure nobody would question it by spreading propaganda about how dangerous dragons were. Walsh closed her tablet. Mr. Cross, I can't stop the council from enforcing their order. But I can delay compliance for a few days while we sort out jurisdictional issues. That's the most I can do. Why help us at all? Walsh looked at Sky again. Because my daughter asked me why adults always hurt things they don't understand. I didn't have a good answer. She headed for the door, then paused. The Drainish delegation arrives in 3 hours. Professor Wu is coming via video link. We're convening an emergency meeting in the station's main hall. I suggest you and Sky attend. Show people what that video showed. Let them see the truth. After Walsh left, Daniel sat down heavily. 3 hours until they went public. Really public. Not just a viral video, but standing in front of hundreds of people with Sky and making their case. You should do it, Rachel said. You and Lily. She's 8 years old. This is too much pressure. She's also the only one Sky completely trusts. People need to see their bond. Rachel knelt beside Lily and Sky. Besides, children have a way of cutting through political nonsense. They see the truth. Daniel watched his daughter sleep, one hand resting on Sky's foreleg. The dragon's breathing matched Lily's rhythm. 2 beings from different worlds, different species, connected by something deeper than anyone had thought possible. When Lily woke, Daniel explained what was happening. She listened carefully, her face serious. Will they hurt Sky? She asked. Not if we can help it, but we need to show everyone that she's not dangerous. That dragons were good and we made a mistake. Okay. Lily stood up, brushing off her clothes. Sky and I will show them. Right, girl? Sky chirped agreement, nuzzling Lily's cheek. The main hall of Haven 9 could hold 2,000 people. It was packed. Station residents filled every seat, lined the walls, spilled out into the corridors. Camera drones hovered everywhere, broadcasting to the billions watching across the galaxy. Daniel walked onto the stage with Lily holding his hand, and Sky following close behind. The crowd's reaction was immediate. Some people gasped. Others pulled back in fear. Many leaned forward in curiosity. Professor Wu appeared on the massive view screen, an elderly human with kind eyes. Beside him on split screen were 3 Draenish scholars, their scaled faces grave. Thank you all for coming, Professor Wu began. We are here to address a grave historical injustice. 200 years ago, dragonkind was declared extinct. We were told this was necessary for human safety. We were told dragons were monsters. We were lied to, the crowd murmured. Professor Wu continued, presenting evidence. Corporate documents, suppressed survey reports, testimony from the few survivors who'd actually lived alongside dragons. Then the Draenish scholars spoke. They showed images of dragon cities, beautiful structures carved into mountains. Dragon art, intricate and meaningful. Dragon writing, complex and poetic. Dragons were not animals, the lead scholar said. They were people, and we helped exterminate them. The crowd was silent now, watching, listening. Then it was Daniel's turn. He stepped forward, Lily beside him. I'm not a scientist or a historian, he said. I'm just a cargo pilot. I found Sky by accident, and I've spent the past week learning that everything I was taught about dragons was wrong. This creature you see here? She's smart. She's gentle. She's protective. She's everything we should have tried to understand instead of destroy. Lily raised her hand. Can I say something? Daniel nodded. Lily looked out at all those people, all those cameras broadcasting to billions of viewers. She wasn't scared. She just held Sky's leg and spoke clearly. Sky is my friend. She's never hurt me. She plays with me and protects me and makes me laugh. When I'm sad, she knows and tries to make me feel better. That's not what monsters do. That's what friends do. Sky chirped softly as if agreeing. Everyone keeps saying dragons are dangerous, Lily continued. But the only dangerous thing I see is people who want to hurt Sky without even meeting her. That's not fair. She deserves a chance. They all deserve chances. The silence stretched. Then from somewhere in the crowd, someone started clapping. Slowly others joined in. Not everyone. Some people still looked skeptical or afraid, but enough applauded that the sound filled the hall. Director Walsh stepped forward. The council's order still stands. Unless we can prove Sky is sapient and not a threat, she must be surrendered. Rachel came onto the stage carrying her research equipment. Then let's prove it. I've run every neural test available. Sky's brain activity patterns match those of sapient species. Her emotional responses are complex. Her learning capacity exceeds most adult humans. By every scientific measure, she qualifies as a person, not an animal. One dragon doesn't prove an entire species was sapient, someone in the crowd shouted. The Draenish scholar spoke up. We have preserved dragon eggs, viable eggs kept in stasis for 200 years. If Sky can show us how to properly care for them, if she can help us bring back her species, then we prove not only sapience but culture. Animals don't preserve their kind for future generations. Sky's head snapped up. She stared at the view screen where the Draenish scholar spoke. Then she made a sound Daniel had never heard before. Long, mournful, hauntingly beautiful. A song. The entire hall fell silent. Sky continued singing, if that's what it was. Complex notes, patterns that seemed to tell a story. Lily closed her eyes, tears running down her face. When the song ended, the Draenish scholars were also crying. That was a mourning song, one of them whispered. The dragons sang it for their dead. She understands. She knows she's the last. Sky looked at Daniel, just looked at him, and in that moment he saw understanding so profound it hurt. She knew what had been done to her people. She knew she was alone, and she was still trying, still hoping, still trusting these strange humans who'd found her. We vote now, Director Walsh said, her voice rough with emotion. All residents of Haven 9. Do we surrender Sky to the Council, or do we protect her while we fight for dragon rights? The vote was overwhelming. 90% chose to protect Sky. But as the crowd cheered and Lily hugged Sky and Rachel smiled in relief, Daniel's communicator buzzed. A message from an encrypted source. Council forces en route. They will not accept your vote. They will take the dragon by force if necessary. TA 6 hours. Daniel looked at Sky, at his daughter, at the crowd of people who'd just voted to stand with them. 6 hours. That was all the time they had left. News of the council forces spread through Haven 9 like wildfire. People gathered in the corridors arguing about what to do. Some said they should comply with the council order. Most said they should stand their ground. Daniel heard talk of barricades, of blocking the docking bays, of peaceful resistance. He wanted none of it. The last thing he needed was his daughter caught in the middle of some standoff between angry civilians and government security forces. "We should leave," he told Rachel. "Take Sky and run before they get here." "Run where?" "They'll chase you across the galaxy. At least here we have support, people willing to stand with us, people who could get hurt. I won't be responsible for that." Sky growled softly from the corner where she'd curled around Lily. The dragon hadn't left the girl's side since the meeting in the main hall. Both of them looked exhausted, overwhelmed by the day's events. A knock on the bay door interrupted them. Daniel tensed, but it was just Director Walsh again. "May I come in?" Daniel let her enter. Walsh looked like she'd aged 10 years in the past few hours. "The council forces are 4 hours out. Battlecruiser Defender, along with 3 security corvettes. They're not messing around." "A battlecruiser?" Rachel's eyes went wide. "For one small dragon? For what Sky represents? If we're right about the extinction being a cover-up, Helix Mining faces trillions in reparations lawsuits, not to mention criminal charges against their executives. They have friends on the council? Friends who don't want this story getting out?" Walsh pulled up her tablet. "But you have friends too." "The Drainish government has filed a formal protest. 3 other species have joined them, and something like 600 million people have signed a petition demanding Sky be granted protected status." "That won't stop a battlecruiser," Daniel said. "No, but this might." Walsh showed him a video. It was spreading almost as fast as Lily's original recording. It showed an old woman, maybe 80 years old, being interviewed by a news agency. "My name is Margaret Chen," the woman said on screen. 200 years ago, I was a survey team member in the Outer Rim. I met the dragons. I lived with them for 3 months. And I'm here to tell you the truth. Dragons were peaceful. They were kind. They saved my life when my shuttle crashed. They fed me, sheltered me, tried to communicate with me. When Helix Mining came and started their extermination, I protested. They threatened to kill me if I spoke out, so I stayed silent for 200 years. But I'm old now, and I'm tired of living with that guilt. Sky is innocent. The dragons were innocent. We committed genocide, and we need to face what we did." The video ended. Walsh switched to another one. This time it showed a Helix Mining executive from decades ago, recorded secretly on his deathbed. "We killed them all," the man wheezed. "The dragons. They weren't dangerous. They were just in our way. God forgive me, we killed them all. More videos. More testimonies. More evidence. It was all flooding out now, 2 centuries of buried truth breaking free. The whole galaxy is watching this," Walsh said. "If the council forces come in here and take Sky by force, especially after all this evidence, it'll look like another cover-up. The political pressure is building. Some council members are already calling for the Defender to stand down. But will they?" Daniel asked. Walsh didn't answer, which was answer enough. 2 hours later, the Defender arrived in Haven 9's space. Daniel watched from the bay window as the massive ship took position near the station. It dwarfed Haven 9, a metal giant bristling with weapons it hopefully wouldn't use. The crowds in the station corridors had grown. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, all converging on the docking bays. Not angry crowds, peaceful ones. Parents with children, elderly couples, scientists and workers and families, all of them holding signs, chanting slogans, demanding Sky be protected. "They're coming!" someone shouted. "Security forces are boarding." Daniel felt his stomach drop. This was it. The moment everything either worked out or fell apart completely. "Stay here," he told Lily. "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me or Rachel. But Daddy, no arguments. Please, baby. I need you safe." Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. Sky pressed against her, making worried sounds. Daniel joined Rachel and Director Walsh in the main corridor leading to Docking Bay 12. At least 500 people had gathered there, forming a human barrier between the docking bay and the interior station. More kept arriving. The bay doors opened. 20 council security officers filed out, all wearing full combat gear and carrying weapons. At their head was a tall man with cold eyes and a commander's insignia on his uniform. "I am Commander Reeves of the Galactic Council Security Forces. We are here to retrieve the dragon-designated Sky. Stand aside." Nobody moved. I said, "Stand aside. This is your final warning. We are authorized to use force if necessary." A woman stepped forward from the crowd. Daniel recognized her as Sophie's mother, the girl who'd been Lily's friend. "You're not taking that dragon. She hasn't hurt anyone. She's proven to be intelligent and peaceful. Taking her now would be wrong. The law is clear. Dragons are classified as..." "The law was based on lies," someone else shouted. "We've seen the evidence." "Yeah, have you even watched the videos?" Another person called out. "That dragon saved human lives 200 years ago, and we repaid her species with extinction." Commander Reeves' face remained impassive. "My orders come from the Council. I don't make policy. I enforce it. Now stand aside or I will move you by force." Daniel pushed through the crowd to the front. "Commander, can I ask you something?" "Do you have kids?" Reeves frowned. "That's not relevant. Humor me." "Do you? 2 daughters. What's your point?" "Your daughters probably watched the video of Sky playing with my daughter. What did they think? Did they think Sky looked dangerous? What my daughters think doesn't matter. I have my orders. It matters to me, because my daughter is in that bay right now alone with Sky. If dragons were really the monsters we were told they were, I'd be terrified. But I'm not. You know why? Because Sky has had dozens of opportunities to hurt Lily, and instead she protects her. She loves her. That's not monster behavior, Commander. That's family behavior." Reeves hesitated. Just for a second, but Daniel saw it. A crack in the armor. Rachel stepped forward. "Commander, I'm Dr. Rachel Kim, xenobiologist. I've run extensive tests on Sky. By every scientific measure, she qualifies as sapient. Taking her into custody isn't like impounding an animal. It's like arresting a person without trial, without evidence of wrongdoing. Is that really what the Council wants to do in front of billions of witnesses?" "My orders." "Your orders were issued before all this evidence came out," Walsh interrupted. "Commander, I'm Director Walsh. This station falls under my jurisdiction. I'm formally requesting a 48-hour delay while the Council reviews the new evidence." "That's reasonable, isn't it?" Commander Reeves looked at the crowd, at the cameras filming everything, at his own security team who looked decidedly uncomfortable with the situation. He touched his earpiece, listening to something. His expression shifted. "I'm being told the Council is convening an emergency session to discuss this matter," he said finally. "Stand down but remain in position. Nobody moves the dragon until we have clarification." The crowd relaxed slightly, but nobody left. They were settling in for a siege if necessary. Daniel made his way back to the bay. Lily opened the door, her face pale. "What's happening?" "We bought some time. The Council is talking about it." Daniel sat down heavily. Sky came over and laid her head in his lap, looking up at him with those golden eyes. He stroked her scales absently. "We might actually have a chance." But even as he said it, his communicator buzzed. Another encrypted message. "Emergency Council session has been hijacked by Helix Mining representatives. They're pushing hard for immediate seizure. They're scared. Desperate people do desperate things. Watch your back." Daniel deleted the message, but his hand shook. Desperate people. Desperate corporations with trillions at stake and no qualms about eliminating threats. An explosion rocked the station. Alarms blared. Emergency lights flashed. Daniel grabbed Lily and pulled her close as Sky roared, a sound of pure rage and fear. "What was that?" Rachel burst through the door. "Did they attack us?" "No." Director Walsh's voice came over the station-wide communicator. "Unknown vessel just fired on the Defender. The battlecruiser is returning fire. All residents take shelter immediately." Daniel pulled up the external cameras. A small, fast ship was darting around the Defender, firing weapons. It bore no identification, no markings. "A mercenary ship, probably. They're trying to provoke an incident," Rachel said. "Make it look like we attacked Council forces." But the Defender's captain wasn't falling for it. The battlecruiser's weapons tracked the mercenary ship methodically, and within minutes had disabled it without firing a single shot near Haven 9. Commander Reeves's voice came over Daniel's communicator. "Mr. Cross, I need to speak with you now." Daniel found the commander in the corridor, his expression grim. "That mercenary ship? We've identified it. Registered to a subsidiary of Helix Mining. They just tried to start a war to cover up their crimes. What does that mean for us? It means the Council's emergency session just got a lot more interesting. Attempted murder of a battlecruiser crew tends to make people ask questions. Reeves looked toward the bay where Sky was hidden. I'd like to meet her. The dragon? If that's all right. Daniel led him into the bay. Lily stood protectively in front of Sky, but Daniel nodded to her. It's okay. Commander Reeves approached slowly. Sky watched him warily but didn't growl or show aggression. When the commander stopped a respectful distance away, Sky tilted her head, studying him. My daughters were right, Reeves said quietly. You don't look like a monster. You look like someone scared and far from home. Sky made a soft sound, almost questioning. I'm sorry for what happened to your people, Reeves continued. If I had been there, if I had known the truth, I would have stood against it. I'm standing for you now. And then Commander Reeves did something that made Daniel's throat tighten. He knelt. Right there in full uniform, he knelt in front of Sky and bowed his head. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize. You deserved better. You all deserved better. Sky approached cautiously. She sniffed the commander, her nose twitching. Then gently she touched her head to his. A gesture of forgiveness or acknowledgement or something deeper. When Reeves stood, there were tears on his face. I'll recommend the Council grant Sky full legal status as a sapient being, he said. I'll recommend an investigation into the dragon extinction, and I'll personally guarantee her protection until this is resolved. Thank you, Daniel said. Don't thank me. Thank your daughter, and thank Sky. They reminded us what it means to do the right thing. The Council's decision came through 6 hours later. Sky was granted temporary protected status pending a full investigation. Helix Mining's executives were arrested on charges of attempted assault on Council forces. The historical records would be unsealed and reviewed. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was a start. Daniel held Lily close as they watched the defender depart, leaving a small security detail to protect Sky. The crowds in the corridors were celebrating, chanting, crying with relief. We did it, Lily whispered. We actually did it, Sky chirped, nuzzling them both. We're not done yet, Daniel said. This is just the beginning. But yeah, baby, we did it. 6 months changed everything. Daniel stood in what used to be an empty section of Haven 9's agricultural dome and watched his daughter chase a dragon through a field of specially grown plants. Not just any dragon. Sky was there, of course, but she wasn't alone anymore. 3 hatchlings tumbled after her, chirping and play-fighting and occasionally tripping over their own wings. The Draenish had kept their promise. They'd brought the preserved eggs to Haven 9, and with Sky's help they'd figured out how to hatch them. Rachel had worked around the clock to create the right environment, the right temperature, the right everything. And when those eggs finally cracked open, when 3 tiny dragons emerged into a world that had tried to destroy their entire species, there hadn't been a dry eye in the research facility. Sky had known exactly what to do. She'd cleaned the hatchlings, fed them, taught them. Like some instinct had activated, passed down through her DNA from countless generations of dragon parents. Now 3 months later, the babies were thriving. Daddy, look, Lily called. She'd taught the smallest hatchling, a silver female they'd named Hope, to play fetch. The baby dragon pounced on a ball and brought it back, her movements clumsy but enthusiastic. Sky watched from nearby, making encouraging sounds. That's great, sweetheart, Daniel called back. He turned to Rachel, who was monitoring the habitat's environmental systems. How are their development rates? Ahead of schedule. They're learning faster than we expected. Sky's teaching them things we didn't even know dragons could do. Rachel pointed to where Sky was showing the 2 other hatchlings how to stack rocks into patterns. That's abstract thinking, tool use. They're not just smart, Daniel. They're brilliant. The Galactic Council's investigation had concluded 2 months ago. The findings were damning. Helix Mining had orchestrated the dragon genocide to access valuable resources on their homeworlds. They'd fabricated evidence of dragon attacks, bribed officials, and spent 2 centuries covering their tracks. The corporation had been dissolved, its assets seized. Its executives faced trial for crimes against sapient species. But more importantly, dragons had been reclassified. No longer dangerous predators. Now they were recognized as intelligent beings with full legal rights. Sky had been granted citizenship on Haven 9, making her technically the first non-human resident of the station. Mr. Cross? A voice interrupted his thoughts. Daniel turned to see a group of visitors at the habitat's entrance. More came every day now. People from across the galaxy who wanted to see the dragons, to learn about them, to apologize. This group included representatives from the Avix, the bird-like species who'd participated in the original dragon hunts. Their ambassador, an elderly female with brilliant blue plumage, approached hesitantly. "We've come to see Sky," she said, "to apologize on behalf of our people. We were afraid of dragons because they were predators and we were prey species. But fear doesn't excuse what we did." Daniel gestured toward the field. "She's teaching the youngsters. You're welcome to watch, but please move slowly." The babies startled easily. The Avix group entered carefully. Sky noticed them immediately and went still, her protective instincts kicking in. She positioned herself between the visitors and the hatchlings, wings spread slightly in warning. Lily walked over to Sky and placed a hand on her side. "It's okay, girl. They're here as friends." The Avix ambassador stepped forward alone, keeping her distance. She spoke in a musical language Daniel didn't understand, but Sky's translator collar picked it up and played it in Galactic Common. "Great Sky Mother, last of the old ones, first of the new. We are Avix. Our ancestors wronged your ancestors. We cannot undo what was done, but we offer our wings in service to your young. We will help protect them, help them grow, help them reclaim what was lost. This we swear." It was a formal oath, the kind the Avix made only in the most serious circumstances. Sky listened, her golden eyes fixed on the ambassador. Then she did something that made everyone hold their breath. She folded her wings and approached the Avix. The ambassador stood perfectly still as Sky circled her once, twice, sniffing and examining. Then Sky touched her nose to the Avix's chest, directly over her heart, a gesture of acceptance. "She forgives us," the ambassador whispered, tears streaming down her feathered face. "Oh, merciful skies, she forgives us." The other Avix approached then, and Sky allowed it. She let them meet the hatchlings, let them offer gifts of food and materials for the habitat. The babies, sensing Sky's acceptance, weren't afraid. Hope even climbed onto the ambassador's offered arm, chirping curiously. "This is good," Rachel said to Daniel. "The more species that accept dragons, that help protect them, the better chance they have of surviving long term." "How many eggs are left in drainage storage?" 47. "Not all of them are viable, but we're hoping for at least 30 successful hatchings. If we can get a population of 30 to 40 dragons, properly dispersed across multiple safe locations, the species has a real chance." Daniel watched Lily playing with the hatchlings while Sky supervised. His daughter had changed so much in 6 months. She'd found her purpose, her calling. She talked about becoming a xenobiologist like Rachel, specializing in dragon care and rehabilitation. "We're going to need more space," Daniel said. "This dome won't hold 40 dragons. Way ahead of you. The council has allocated an entire moon in the sanctuary system for dragon rehabilitation. Untouched wilderness, perfect climate, no dangerous predators. We'll move there in 3 months once the facilities are built." "A whole moon?" Daniel shook his head in wonder. "A year ago, I was just a cargo pilot worried about making my delivery bonus. And now you're the father of the girl who saved an entire species." Rachel smiled. "How does that feel?" "Terrifying, wonderful. I still don't quite believe it's real." But it was real. The hatchlings tumbling through the grass were real. Sky's contented purring as she watched over her young was real. The steady stream of species coming to apologize, to help, to build a better future was real. Over the next few weeks, more eggs hatched. The sanctuary moon, officially named Haven after the station that had protected Sky, began taking shape. Volunteers from dozens of species came to help build habitats, research facilities, educational centers. Lily became something of a galactic celebrity, though she handled it with remarkable grace for a 9-year-old. She gave interviews, wrote articles for science journals about dragon behavior, even started a video series teaching other children about respecting and understanding different species. "The trick," she told her audience in one episode, Sky sitting beside her, "is to not see someone as scary just because they're different. Sky has claws and teeth and can breathe fire, but she's also kind and smart and my best friend. If you give people a chance, even people who seem really different, you might be surprised." The dragons weren't the only ones changing. The whole galaxy was having conversations about prejudice, about fear-based policies, about what it meant to be sapient and deserving of rights. Other species that had been classified as dangerous were being reassessed. The mantics, insectoid beings who'd been restricted to their homeworld for centuries. The deep-scale, aquatic creatures who'd been hunted for their valuable scales. All of them were being given second chances. Sky seemed to understand she'd become a symbol. She carried herself with a quiet dignity, meeting every visitor with patience, allowing herself to be studied and documented, all in service of building understanding. The day they left for Haven Moon was bittersweet. Daniel packed up the Wanderer for one last cargo run. But this time his cargo was precious. Sky and the 15 hatchlings who'd been born so far, along with 23 viable eggs, all carefully monitored and protected. The Wanderer wasn't making the trip alone. A full council escort accompanied them, not as guards but as honor guard. Ships from 24 species flew alongside them, a parade celebrating the second chance given to dragonkind. Haven Moon was beautiful. Vast forests, crystal lakes, mountains that touched the clouds. Rachel had designed the initial settlement to blend with nature rather than dominate it. Dragons would have space to fly, to hunt, to build their own society. Sky was the first to step onto Haven's surface. She stood at the ramp of the Wanderer for a long moment, breathing in the air of a world that would be hers. Then she spread her wings, so much stronger now than when Daniel had first found her, and took flight. She soared up and up, climbing into the clouds, and her song echoed across the valleys. Not a morning song this time. A song of joy, of hope, of homecoming. The hatchlings followed, tumbling into the sky with varying degrees of grace. Lily watched from the ground, tears and smiles mixing on her face. "She's happy," Lily said. "Finally, she's really happy." Daniel pulled his daughter close. "You gave her that, baby. You gave all of them that chance. We gave it to them, Daddy, all of us together." The settlement grew quickly. Scientists and volunteers from across the galaxy came to help. The dragons thrived. Within a year, there were 32 living dragons. Within 2 years, 53. Genetic diversity was carefully managed to prevent inbreeding, and the Draenish kept searching for more preserved DNA samples that might help strengthen the population. Sky remained at the center of it all. She helped raise every hatchling, taught them the old songs, the old ways that somehow lived on in her genetics. As the dragons grew and developed, they began creating their own culture, a blend of ancient instinct and new experience. They invented games. They composed music. They told stories. And they remembered the humans who'd saved them when the last of them should have died alone. On the 5th anniversary of Sky's rescue, Haven Moon held a celebration. Hundreds of guests came from across the galaxy. Daniel was there with Lily, now 13 and already accepted to advanced xenobiology programs. Rachel was there, her hair grayer but her smile bright. Commander Reeves came, bringing his daughters who'd inspired his change of heart. Director Walsh, the Avix ambassador, Professor Wu, the Draenish scholars, all of them gathered to honor what had started with one scared dragon and one brave little girl. Sky had grown magnificent. Fully mature now, she stood as tall as a house, her silver blue scales gleaming in the sunlight. She wore no collar or restraints. She needed none. She was free. The ceremony was simple. Lily stepped forward to speak, representing all the humans who'd fought for dragon rights. 5 years ago, I asked my dad if I could adopt a dragon. I thought Sky needed saving, but the truth is she saved us. She saved us from our own fear, our own prejudice, our own history. She showed us what we could be if we chose compassion over cruelty, understanding over ignorance. On behalf of humanity, Sky, thank you for forgiving us, for trusting us, for being our friend. Sky lowered her great head, and Lily touched her nose to the dragon's snout, a gesture they'd shared 1,000 times from when Sky was small and broken to now when she was whole and strong. The crowd erupted in applause. Dragons and humans and Avix and Draenish and a dozen other species, all celebrating together. That night, Daniel sat with Lily on the observation deck of their new home on Haven. The dragons flew through the twilight sky, their forms dark against the setting sun, their songs echoing across the land. "Do you ever regret it?" Daniel asked. "All the chaos, all the danger, all the times we almost lost everything?" Lily didn't hesitate. "Never, not even a little bit." "Good. Me neither." Sky landed nearby, her landing much more graceful than it had been 5 years ago. She settled down beside them, wrapping her tail around them both protectively. 3 of her oldest children flew overhead, practicing aerial maneuvers, their young voices joining in their mother's evening song. "Dad," Lily said quietly, "do you think Mom would be proud of us?" Daniel felt tears sting his eyes. Yeah, baby. I think she'd be really proud. She always said we should stand up for what's right even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. We did that. We did. Sky rumbled contentedly, her warmth surrounding them as the stars began to appear overhead. In the distance, more dragons sang their evening songs, a sound that had been silent for 200 years and now filled the sky once more. One small act of compassion. One decision to help instead of harm. One dragon who should have been the last becoming the first of a new beginning. That's all it had taken to change everything. Daniel looked at his daughter, at the dragon who'd become family, at the settlement spreading below where dozens of species worked together to right an ancient wrong. This was worth fighting for. This was worth everything, and as Sky's song rose into the night sky, Daniel thought that maybe, just maybe, the universe was a little bit better than it had been. Not perfect, never perfect, but better. That was enough.